Welcome to The Pulse. I'm Leslie Solis.
And I'm Jaime de Haro.
On today's episode, we'll cover updates on the 2024 presidential election.
And the upcoming closure and remodel of the University Student Union. The iconic USU will undergo major changes as part of the school's Future U project. This initiative aims to completely revamp the student union, not just to upgrade the infrastructure, but also to bring much-needed improvements. Plans include implementing a wide variety of food options and easier methods to connect with upper campus. The project, in development since 2022, will begin construction in summer of 2025. Current discussions focus on where existing USU businesses will relocate. Most ASI services will move to Peterson Hall and other available classrooms. During construction, ASI will offer temporary food options, such as expanded convenience stores and kitchen trailers. Shannon Cooey, ASI's communications manager, encourages students to provide feedback to help guide decisions on the new USU resources. Students interested in selecting new food vendors can attend UREC meetings held on the first Friday of each month at 1 p.m. in USU 234. So Leslie, what are your initial thoughts on the school trying to improve the USU?
Well, I think there's always room for improvement, so this is a very exciting time.
Right. I think a lot of the resources that are on the way or are upcoming for the USU, students can benefit from whatever's on their way. But like I said, it's exciting. However, what is that for campus life? For 3 years, it's going to be all gone.
I think the convenience of knowing, hey, this is right by my class. Let me just swing by, make it on time, changing your routine.
Okay. Yeah, and I think it's possible, and adjusting to, these changes, can also benefit students as well.
It can, yeah, especially if they are planning on, adding maybe a few convenience stores or expanding some of the already available convenience stores.
Yeah. And I think moving to or relocating some businesses wouldn't be too bad, but
new options.
Yes,
new
but
locations.
I think it really depends on what student orgs students are involved in, where students eat, where they spend leisure time. So
right, and it varies semester to semester. So
yeah, right. So how do you think the 3-year closure will affect student life on campus?
Well, like we just said, readjusting, but that's part of being a student and part of what, every semester kind of looks like anyways,
right.
So.
The USU is kind of like a hub. It's a community, especially since, Long Beach is a commuter school. Many of us commute and many of us, some people dorm, some commute, and it's different for everyone. But it just makes me worry, what will it be like for commuters? Commuters who like to spend time on campus.
Well, it is kind of like a hangout spot, I would say, because you have everything there, right? You have currently Coffee Bean, you have your, other food options. So it would just be finding a new place to get together and, just something new, not bad, right?
So what do you think are some of the current USU's problems? Why are they renewing it?
Well, everything needs maintenance, right? Like I said,
the escalator.
The escalator, that's always, that's a big one.
Escalator
and I'm sure many students will appreciate, I know I will.
Yeah, and I think also seating. Many times I've walked through, the food court and there's not enough seating.
You think,
I buy food and sometimes I'm like, where do I sit? Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, sometimes it's questionable. So the seating definitely, hoping that gets controlled, and also the connection at upper campus. Some students who have classes upper campus might not feel as connected to shops at the USU.
I feel like it's a midpoint.
Right?
Upper campus, lower campus, you sort of meet in the middle.
Yeah.
So my next class, unfortunately, it's up there, but I can stop by and,
Yeah, for sure. I'm hoping, as much as they want to revamp the USU, they do the same with parking. We both know, how difficult that could be.
Yes.
And how costly it could be as well.
Early voting continues as 18 million Americans cast their ballots nationwide. Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump remain in a tight race as both actively campaign in battleground states with rallies and town halls. Harris struggles to connect with key voter groups, particularly blue-collar and suburban voters in swing states like Michigan and North Carolina. She campaigns alongside former Congresswoman Liz Cheney, seeking to persuade Republican voters to support her. Trump tries to appeal to the public by dressing as a McDonald's employee and serving fries in a staged photo op in Feasterville, Traverse, Pennsylvania. In California, about 1.7 million voters have already cast their ballots. As the election rapidly approaches, the country's direction will soon be decided. Who do you think young voters are supporting and why?
I think right now it really depends who's campaigning on social media the most. I think a lot of young voters, get their news from social media, from a lot of short form content, and whether that be TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, we have a lot of reels that catch their attention, and from those little 10-second videos, that might even change their perspective, or what candidate they're going to end up running for.
Right. So it could ultimately boil down to what platform are you receiving your news from, right?
Right. And I think, in my personal experience, I've seen Kamala, the most on, TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, whereas Trump, I've seen activity from him mostly on X.
As far as actual rallies and campaigning, do you think that makes a difference in who, young voters will go out and ultimately?
Yeah, for sure. I think looking back at it now, you see the comparison between Trump's rallies and Kamala's rallies. Tell me, what do you think about that?
Well, it depends again, right? Like social media plays one factor and then the rallying another, but I think relatability. So Kamala has, celebrities often attending, and Trump has a completely different approach, which could play a big factor.
And yes, it does, it makes a big difference in persuasion and, what music or what
appeals to a certain audience. Or
right. And let that be, a factor of persuasion, but don't let that also be,
the defining factor.
Right, because, it also comes down to the morals, the values, and, what the candidate preaches for and what they ultimately,
believe in or stand in. Or
what plans you have for the U.S. in the next 4 years.
Right, I agree.
Yeah.
What issues do you think young voters care about?
There's been a lot of talk when it comes to abortion, women's rights, education, and gun violence. It's all over the social media, and if people really care about these issues, and if there's a candidate emphasizing the change and what they want to improve on these issues, what is it to these voters? What does it mean, or what does it signify to these voters that these candidates are promising improvements on these issues?
Even just addressing the issue, right? Because we often see them kind of drift from the importance of some of these topics that we really want to hear about.
Right. And just, like you said, acknowledging the issue, once they hear of a benefit and once people know that, this is a possibility, and maybe I don't have to worry about, being oppressed as a woman. And so that could even just be a factor.
Or a broke student, right?
Yeah, exactly. As a student at Long Beach, there's small factors, that, I might consider,
I wouldn't say small.
Small factor?
Tuition.
Well, yeah, that's a big thing for sure. And so now, there's, as students, we want, what's best for our education.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
That wraps up today's episode of The Pulse.
Be sure to follow 22S Media for more episodes and other great content. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.